Meet the hero of today's episode. He's only 6 years old, and if you translate that into human years, he's already over 40. Now for an unpleasant fact. If you're 25 right now, you've likely lived twice as long as your pet. And here's the question almost no one wants to ask. Why do the creatures we love the most live shorter lives than we do? You might have heard that animals see at a different frame rate. For a dog, for example, the world seems to move in slow motion compared to us. So if a dog were watching this video,
It would look something like this to them.
but here's the weird part. Even if time feels slower for dogs, their lives still end much sooner than ours. Today, we'll find out why your beloved pets live such short lives and what or who influences that. Every single second, your body is burning energy. When do you think you lose the most of it? When you're working out, when you're eating, or when you're doing nothing at all? That's right. Most of your energy is spent just on keeping your body alive for one more day. Even when you're just lying there doing nothing, your heart beats, your lungs breathe, and your brain works. But there's a catch. Every organism builds chemical bonds to get that energy. The faster the body produces energy, the more cellular waste, or free radicals, it creates. These, in turn, damage our cells, and that's how we age. So the rule is simple. Live fast, age fast. Take a look at tiny animals. For instance, this little creature has to eat every half hour, or it'll simply freeze. Its heart beats over 1,000 times a minute, and it only lives for about a year and a half. A hummingbird flaps its wings 80 times a second, and also lives for only a few years. But when you look at large animals, everything changes. An elephant lives up to 60 years, and a blue whale up to 90. And this brings us to the first factor, body size. The phrase size matters takes on a whole new meaning here. It would be logical to think that the larger the animal, the faster it wears out. Well, because there are more parts, which means there's more that can break. But in reality, it's the opposite. Large animals live longer.
Why is that?
A large body loses heat more slowly, so it doesn't have to work at max speed all the time, meaning cells age more slowly. But if size were the only factor, small animals would always have short lives, and here that logic fails again. A tiny Chihuahua lives longer than a huge shepherd, and some small turtles outlive their owners. So there's the second factor, the environment. Imagine two identical organisms. One lives in cold water, the other in a hot and dangerous place. Which one will live longer? Most likely the first one. The colder and more stable the environment, the slower the aging process. For example, a Greenland shark can live up to 400 years, and some deep sea creatures even longer, because it's dark, cold, and stress-free. Now compare that to a small rodent that spent every night trying not to become someone's dinner. Stress, danger, a constant race. And the body says, okay, let's live fast. But even a perfect environment doesn't guarantee a long life, because there's a third factor, the pressure of natural selection. Scientists compared two populations of opossums. One lived among predators, the other on a safe island. Mainland opossums aged rapidly and lived only about 2 years, while the island population lived nearly 50% longer. Why is that? When danger is all around, the body speeds up growth to reproduce before being eaten, leaving no resources for bodily repair. And this explains why cats live longer than dogs. The ancestors of dogs are wolves. They lived in packs and were very social. So by sneezing on each other, they spread diseases rapidly, meaning they had to grow fast to reproduce before getting sick. But wildcats lived alone, got sick less often, and aged more slowly. So evolution decides, is it better to reproduce quickly or to live a long life? But even if you're big, live in the cold, and don't run from predators, nature has left you one more factor, cancer protection. With age, errors accumulate in the DNA. If too many of them build up, cancer develops. Most animals have a guardian protein called P53. It checks cells and stops damaged ones, but this protection works differently in different species. For example, this little guy, who clearly left his coat somewhere, almost never gets cancer and lives 10 times longer than typical rodents, while elephants have dozens of protective gene copies, whereas humans have only one. That's why they rarely get cancer, even though they have thousands of times more cells than we do. Whales have developed a defense system so advanced, they almost never suffer from the disease, though without it, they have a 100% chance of getting cancer. But even that doesn't make them immortal. The harsh truth is that once our reproductive age ends, our bodies lose interest in our condition. It's fulfilled its mission. It left offspring behind. So here's the result. A species' lifespan is decided by 4 factors: size, environment, evolutionary evolutionary pressure and protection against internal breakdowns. But there's good news. In recent decades, pets have started living longer because a fifth factor has emerged. The fifth factor is us. Medicine, care, and attention. Your pet doesn't think about how much time is left, they just live every day to the fullest. So the best thing we can do is look after their health and give them all our attention and love. As always, this was the FataMorgana channel. Like and subscribe to the channel, because it's only gonna get more interesting.